Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to lengthen or shorten pattern 1802 Rachel's Maxi wrap dress. So first of all you're going to need the pattern itself, then you're going to need a pencil, a ruler or a tape measure, some sticky tape and some spare paper. So when you're ready, let's get started. To complete a length adjustment with this pattern, the only pattern piece we need is the skirt piece. So when you're ready, lay it flat like this. Now this adjustment is going to be a lot easier to do if you have access to a grading square, which is also called a set square, because it will enable you to create perfect right angles. So let's have a look at this pattern. As we look down the centre back seam, we have a double notch. Now this double notch here is so you can match the pattern together and sew the seam nice and easily. As we look down the centre back line, we also have a notch for the hem, so that shows us where to turn the hem up. To complete a lengthen or shorten, it's a good idea to not interfere with the upper part of the pattern and instead make your line somewhere closer towards the bottom. Because we've got such a sweeping curve, I'd suggest the best place to put this adjustment is midway between the double notch and the hem notch. So the very first thing you need to know is how much do you want to shorten this pattern by. So the length at the centre back of the skirt is marked on the pattern. What you need to do is come to your tape measure and measure down that amount. When you have the skirt length, mark it with your thumb and simply hold the end with the excess tape in your hand and then place it to your waistline and let the tape fall to the ground. Now go and have a look in the mirror. That is the length that the back of the skirt will be when you're wearing it. So that's natural waist to floor. Finished. So simply adjust that tape up and down in front of the mirror until you get to a height that you think is better for you. Then just work out on your tape measure between the starting point and the finish point. For the purposes of this video, we're going to start by shortening the pattern by 4 inches, which is 10 centimeters. Come to your pattern and find a point that's approximately midway between those two marks and place a small mark. Now we're going to draw perpendicular lines from the centre back line towards this curve, and we're going to do them evenly each side of our mark. So I want to adjust this pattern by 4 inches, which is 10 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is place my ruler or my set square on that mark and place marks either side of it. So my 10 centimeters or 4 inches is evenly distributed on each side of this mark. Then I'm going to take my grading triangle, place it on my centre back line and draw a line from my lower mark all the way through to the curve. And you can extend that just by moving your ruler, or you could get a nice long metre rule and use it that way. So this area here is the amount that we want to remove from our pattern. Now you need to take some scissors, cut up this line here and move it across to this line here, and then stick it down with either sticky tape or stick glue. So when you've pasted your pattern back together, this is what it's going to look like. Clearly we need to readjust the curve here. So take some spare paper and place it in behind this area here. When you're ready, we're going to redraw the curve. Now we don't want to interfere with this area here because this is a privacy area. That's where the skirt wraps over, so we don't want that any shorter than it is now. What we need to do is just gently redraw that curve. So the easiest way to do this is to use your elbow like a hinge, and what we're going to do is come to around about here, and we need to arrange it so that the curve is nice and smooth. So this is going to take a little bit of sketching, but we just want to do something like this. And just rearrange that and redraw it until you're comfortable with the curve. And then when you're ready, go ahead and cut that out. And then you've got your pattern 4 inches, 10 centimeters shorter. So now let's look at lengthening this pattern. We go ahead and estimate how much longer we want this skirt piece to be. So I'm going to add 10 centimeters or 4 inches to this pattern length now. We're going to do exactly what we did, but we're going to add length. So we're going to come to a point midway between our notch and our double notch and place a small mark. Then instead of putting a mark either side to distribute the shortening, we're just going to mark 4 inches or 10 centimeters to the hemline. Now what we're going to do is take our set square and draw a line from this lower mark, that's 10 centimeters lower, across to that curve, making sure it's perpendicular or at right angles to our centre back line. Now you're going to need to take some spare paper, with your scissors cut through this line and attach paper here, because we're going to take this piece out and move it downwards. So once the pattern is moved downwards to create more length, we're putting paper in behind this area here, and now we have to redraw this curve. So we're going to do the same thing as a shortening adjustment. We're going to use our elbow as a pivot point, and we don't want to interfere too much with this area here or with the upper area of the skirt. We simply want to make sure that this curve will join on this curve here. So if we just come to an area around about here, and then you can just keep going over that by eye until you get a curve that you consider to be nice and smooth. And this will need some adjusting. It's really just a judgment call. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and cut that out, and you have your new pattern piece. So thanks for joining me with this video, and I hope you can join me for more videos soon.